Hello, hello. Hello, my friends. How are you? It is so good to see you all. And I do hope that we are all having a fine morning. We have to stop Mr. Timer, or Mr. Timer comes to get us in the end. Hello, it's Andrea Seabrook. Good to see you all this fine Friday morning. Woohoo! Um, I hope my sound is okay. I didn't have a whole lot of an ability to check it. In fact, just realized I don't actually need to wear headphones if I don't have anybody in the studio with me and I'm not playing any pirates dancing. I wanted to bring everybody on today to talk about Wandavision, which is something I never really thought that I would be bringing people on or talking about myself. It is not sort of like my thing, so it's a little bit funny. But here I am. Do you guys like my new microphone? It's actually very pretty, and I would have a much better setup, and it wouldn't be covering part of my face, except that I'm still in a hotel room. Woohoo! I have now I don't even know how many nights I've been here because day and night have become sort of theoretical things for me. But every cycle, let's call it, I have gone up to the front desk and said, actually, I'm not leaving today. I know I said I was going to leave yesterday, but I'm not leaving today. This has happened 4 times, maybe. I think I've been here since, did someone else tell me? Monday or Tuesday? I don't know. I honestly have lost the thread. Here's another fun thing that happened this morning. Just if you wanted, a little bit more of an exciting story from Andrea, because I have been in this hotel room sort of in this weird limbo space. And there are lots of reasons for that. It has to do with my kid at school and COVID tests and stuff. But everything's fine. I went out and bought some clothes because, laundry, hotel, traveling, right? So I bought these very fancy. I hope you like them. Overalls. Yes, they're Dickies overalls. Today's broadcast is sponsored by Dickies overalls, specifically the striped ones. See? Yeah, fancy. Very nice. A little bit getting my Iowa on here. And I went to get some coffee this morning down at the lobby with my new best friends down there. And one of them comes up and says, well, it was in Spanish, okay? She says, Andrea, I just wanted to tell you something. The stripe that has your size on it is still on the back of your pants. I turn around to look, and I'm feeling all snazzy, and there's like a long plastic strip that's like large. Yeah. It was one of those mornings that just makes you laugh out loud. So welcome, everybody. Today we are brought to you by My Overalls, and we're also we have another sponsor this morning that I will get to. That's a mid-roll sponsor, so we'll get to that shortly. But it's so good to see everybody. Let me preface this. Thank you, Elihu, who who said, hey, by the way, you might want to give a spoiler alert, or maybe even put the name of the show that you're talking about in the title. He's such a smarty, that guy. I think he went to college. So, we're going to talk about WandaVision. Now, we're not going to talk about and this plot, and they have the green colored pineapples that make them go to the special other kind of mutant X thing, right? That's not me. But we are going to talk about, or what I want to talk about anyway, is American culture seen through the sitcom, which we talked about a little bit about yesterday, and specifically now about women in WandaVision, the women of WandaVision, and that this show, right from the start, has been about women and women's relationships with other women. And lest you find that sort of thing a snooze fest, don't worry, this is not going to be a class on feminist theory. Don't worry, we're not brainwashing here. We're just talking about the thingy dingy. But there probably will be some spoilers because I want to talk a little bit about what happened on the last episode, which just finished airing mere hours ago. Well, posting, whatever you say these days. I don't know. I don't know how to say anything anymore. Let's see. Hiya. We already said tipped our hat to Elihu. Vile Mike, good to see you, sir. Fine man, fine intellect. Talking about, what are you saying? Okay, so he hasn't seen the final one yet, but he's also leaving. Bird of Prey, 5. Kerplop, my good friend. Hope you're having a lovely day. John DeMarco, thank you for coming on in and seeing us here. Who else do we have? Jedi Bill. Hello, mister. Anybody else I haven't said hi to? I know there must be other people out there who just don't love to go into the chat and put themselves out there. I know we want to say, Professor Brainy Specs, as always, you educate, fine sir. Thank you for asking people to hit the like button. I have no idea if that helps anything. I heard several people say, I mean, surely it helps, and I appreciate it very much. I don't mean to be ungrateful. But I don't know. It seems like that I don't know. I haven't, there's all this talk about the algorithm. Oh, and this and that. Everybody thinks they know, with this and that. And there's all gaming of blah, blah, the algorithm. And I'm just not sure how much any of it is worth. I think the hard truth is that the more content you do that people like, the more followers you get. And probably the number one thing we should all consider playing around with a little bit more when we're not getting a lot of subscribers is not so much the algorithm as our content. That's kind of what I've been doing. Now, that said, you guys know I'm not a big fan of big channels, and my goal is to reach exactly 82 people, which is, I believe, the number that I already have. So there. Ha! I win. Plus, it means that I can sit up here and tell you about having a sticker on my pants and not worry about sort of, is that professional? Look, I'm putting my earrings on the air, right? That's what you get to do when your audience is full of people that you actually have a relationship with. So, hi. Okay. I do want to open this up. I have a couple of people who have said that they would like to come by and talk about this with me. But I would love to have anyone from the panel as well who is interested in talking about the stuff. I am going to play some clips, I think, from the shows, trying to do that fair use thing. So we'll see. Maybe I'll get banned. I don't know. But anyone who would like to come up, I would love to have any of you, but LDG or Anzo or any of the wacky people who we know who have been just like super obsessive about this, feel free to come on up. Not Ryan Johnson. Hello, sir. Good to see you. I guess if there's anybody who wants to, I don't know. Do I put the StreamYard thing just straight into the chat? I haven't crossed into that territory yet. Yeah, I don't know. It's a little funny. I've had stalkers in the past. I have that lovely experience. So I guess I'm a little wary of that. But I would love to have anybody up here. The other thing, God, yesterday was a crazy day, yo. Yesterday I had my Shakespeare group. I did a live stream with a friend of mine. Then I went and, talked on Latino Slants channel about Deadwood. Then there was WandaVision. And now this is why my nights are like these theoretical things that have to do more with like the number of photons of light in the air than any behavior of mine. So, Bird of Prey 5 says, try to keep the clips under 10 seconds. Yes. Fair use. And it's funny, coming here, like having automated fair use claims is very different from the land of journalism where I'm used to like, kind of getting away with a lot. because when you're a real journalist, that's what the fair use law is written for. Not to say that other people aren't real journalists, just that like we've entered a territory where our regulatory regime does not have anything to do with reality anymore. So it's very different. And Latino Slant says there's something very freeing about streaming to an intimate set of friends, or heck, even just one person, like my very first stream ever. Well, I think that's true. And this is something that I had a really great and long, because I was talking so much, conversation with John DeMarco and Professor Brainy Specs the other night. And just about, maybe I should do a live stream at some point. I've had this question before, like, what are you doing here, Andrea? Talking to, getting on these, people's streams and hanging out. And the provenance of that question is just that, at NPR, I regularly had an audience of 23 million people for something that I would do. So why would you leave that? Why would you then, having left that, do something like this instead of lots of other things I could have done or could do, like, go be a talking head on CNN and blah, blah, blah. Well, I think maybe I should do a separate stream about that, but I'll tell you what, it's because you guys are better for a lot of reasons. But I'm not joking. This is the cutting edge right here. Me and my coffee and you. Thank you for being here. Okay. If there is anyone who would like to join me, I would love to have you up here. Please raise your hand. I don't know how you would do that. Put an emoji in the chat. Buy a signal flare and tell me where to look for it on Google Earth. It may take several months for that picture to get there. Let's see. Any of these things is fine. Aside from Wandavision, I will get to Wandavision in just a second. I am thinking I would like to get a few more subscribers, to be fair. I think I have 82 right now, though it seems to go up and down. I think at 100 or something, you get to do something like have a good, an easy URL. That would be nice, because then I wouldn't have to screw around trying to find the URL all the time. But so I've been like trying to come up with challenges. I'm not eating any weird chips, or I'm not going to like hurt myself for followers. But I was thinking that I could interview a congressman. I don't know. Just thinking about things that I can actually do. Now, my friends, this is weird, but I'm going to have to take a phone call from my daughter. My daughter. Never done this before. Yeah. Give me one quick second. Hello? Hi. I am actually on the air right now. It's okay. I just wanted to, given the current events, I wanted to make sure I heard from you. Is everything okay? Have you gotten any news? Yeah, but you don't have any of the information back. All right, then let me call you back, love, okay? Love you, Pookie Bear. Bye. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, got a situation here, but here we are. This is the reality of the modern reality of broadcasting, everyone. So, who would like to come on up to the to talk about women in WandaVision, and specifically, I'd love to even get some pushback about this theory. Let me lay out very quickly what my theory is. In fact, it started to my whole like the MCU is cool, right? Fun, but I'm just not an action person, right? Like when the action starts, and I know I'm like the opposite of most people. When the action starts in a movie, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, to me, they're just like long segments of loud noises and bright lights, and sort of I don't know why I'm supposed to be impressed about a car rolling some way, but where there's no story happening. To me, it's like, punch, punch. Oh, speed, 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 jump from the motorcycle to all of that stuff. There, to me, there's so little story in it. There's so little narrative that I just completely lose attention. So I'm, in the world of science fiction and fantasy and all those things, I'm much more interested in, I guess the Star Trek kind of side of things where you're actually looking at philosophical questions and arguments, and like thinking about the possibilities of the future. Those things are much more interesting to me than this guy has these special powers and they're going to do these powers, blah, blah, blah. That said, the thing that WandaVision has done, which I've found really impressive, is hold up a mirror to the American identity as seen through the sitcom. We saw, this entire, just slightly move this entire show has been about looking at what sitcoms have looked like, what the humor in them has looked like, how people move in them, the kinds of pratfalls and slapstick that evolved over the 20th century. And even like production values, like, what kind of set you would have, like how that looked. It was so fascinating to see the shows go from like a one camera shot to a two camera shot, then back to one camera when you get to sort of closer to now. And then like the shaky cam faux documentary thing with, sort of like The Office and Modern Family. They're showing us our own history in this really nice and fun way. And I think especially if you're of a certain age when I was born in 74. And so, there weren't 100,000 channels on TV. So until I was much older. And so I saw a lot of Dick Van Dyke's Show and I Love Lucy. Those things were in reruns. We watched them too. We didn't identify with them. They looked like our grandparents, but we did experience them in a real way. And then we came into our own with, the sort of 80s and, Silver Spoons and Full House and these things, and so, and then, finally the sort of Modern Family and that era. To me, it's like we are of that generation that like really experienced all of those things. And so this show really told us a lot or reflected a lot about us. A fascinating thing that I found out in researching some of this stuff is that the people who made WandaVision actually took all of the cast and everybody on the set, producers, everybody, and created a kind of sitcom boot camp and had everybody watch a bunch of episodes, talked about things like literally like how people moved then, or the kind of language they used then. People talk very differently. It's not that everyone talked differently, but in sitcoms, they were expected to talk that way and say, well, honey, I just came home from work. And, this sort of funny sort of 50s, 60s kind of cadence and intonation to their language. They gave everybody a bunch of different kind of Miss Manners-like books from different decades so that the actors could sort of internalize the expectations, especially of women, for those eras. And because women walked differently, they moved their hands differently, they smoked cigarettes. There's just a very different kind of form of being in the moment in those times. So to me, there's like a historical accuracy to WandaVision, and that's a funny thing to say about a show that has nothing to do with history or anything accurate, unless you want to talk about its fealty to the comic books, which we don't. So I would just love to talk about some of these things. Let me look in the chat real quick. John DeMarco is saying the philosophical nature of Trek is crucial. Unfortunately, it is largely absent from the modern versions of the franchise. And then John says, oh, I can do this now. John says, I was born in the 80s, but I watched a lot of those old sitcoms growing up as well. Yes. Yeah. I mean, we are the generation that I think this show was meant for. And look at me. Like I keep saying, I don't care about action, and I enjoyed it, and I'm talking about it right here. So they must have done something right in that way. So let me bring up my notes because, it's very intellectual argument here. I want to make sure from the beginning that when we talk about women in, prior generations and in the, the 50s and the 60s, the 40s, there is no time at which women didn't have power. I think sometimes there's just a lot of grandstanding on all sides about what real people are like. And the truth is, real people are embedded in real social relationships, and women have always had power. Women have always been, respected in some places and not in others. The definitions of social structures do not define the actual people in them. So, while we say things like women didn't have power, there were things that needed to change, but people have power, and people do different things in different social relationships. There are a lot of important reasons why strong gender roles have existed in the past, and we can't forget that those reasons have been crucial to the survival of families, to the raising of children. We can't throw them out as if they were an attempt to oppress various different people. They weren't. They were an attempt to love and raise children and be in family. That said, times change, and we grow out of social convention, and we challenge it, and we come to do different things. And, 50, 60 years from now, people will be saying, they were just oppressing the frogs or whatever. Just the first word that came to my mind. But that's all they were doing. They just wanted frogs to go somewhere else. And we're going to be like, we weren't thinking about frogs at all. We were just trying to be on YouTube and talk to our friends. And they're like, yeah, but look at all the frogs. Boy, oh boy, that metaphor just doesn't fly, does it? Or hop, as the case may be. But there are, the thing about sitcoms is they take something that they make those social conventions look a lot more concrete than they probably were. And so in some ways it's a useful thing that we can talk about anyway. So it struck me from the beginning that this show was about a woman who is flawed and messes up, and she's kind of touched in the head, and she has weird relationships with other women. She's married to a robot. I mean, this woman is not, I don't know, she's not like Vanna White. She's not perfect, and the show allows you to actually explore that. It also is interesting because in the MCU and a lot of superhero stuff, there seems to be, because superheroes are kind of are what they are. When people have said, okay, now we need some female superheroes, they've kind of taken those and slapped a Captain America uniform on them or something. Is that the one that's the female one? See how little I know. They kind of don't develop them as real characters going through real problems, because it's an avatar, right? It's cardboard cutout, because they're making kind of a social decision before a story and narrative decision, right? There are problems with that. Oh my God, it's what we talk about all the time, right? But it feels to me like with WandaVision, they either they realized they had done that and decided to correct it, or they took a real character and explored her inner depths and just how much of a woman she is, and a mother and a lover and and a superhero and a very powerful being. And I just think that is what has made this show really interesting. She starts to lose it over the course of the thing. At first, she's completely trying to control her power, and they're hiding it all the time, right? In the first episode, and then it starts to seep out in front of other people, and she sort of has this friend now next door who's another woman, and they're kind of doing this like, oh hi thing, everything's perfect, and that whole like the relationship between those two women evolves and becomes sort of darker and darker. By I think the third, or I don't know which episode it is. I think it was that character. It was the Agatha character, whose name at that point is Agnes. Says something. They're talking about the woman on the block in their neighborhood who is like the gatekeeper of all things. You got to get on her good side, because if you don't, then you're screwed, and you'll never do anything. She runs everything, and Wanda says something like, "Or I could just act, kind of like myself, right?" And the Agatha character is like, like looks at her for a second, like she has three heads, and then laughs and laughs, which ends up being really funny because it says a lot about that, about the dynamic between women, about what was expected at the time, about how difficult, women can really, really not get along. I don't know if you guys noticed this before, but that's just reality. And seeing it progress through these shows has been just fascinating and great. I am going to look at the chat real quick. Let's see. Darren Wagner, hello, sir. How are you? Says, so we didn't get the promised big guest star in the finale. That is true. We did not. Let's see. John DeMarco says, yes, Paul Bettany said he was basically trolling us about the cameo. Darren Wagner says women have always had power, just not the exact same kind of power as men. Also true. Jedi Bill says, I need more drugs. It's a good morning for drugs. Also, his head hurts. I'm sorry, Jedi. 47 Yorktown, hello from Eastern Canada. How are the Maritimes? Says, frogs? That's offensive to us French Canadians. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I think I should get off YouTube and never come here again now because I have shown myself to be an evil person by talking down about the Quebecois. Or I guess Quebecois is really different, right? That's kind of a movement as opposed to frog Canadians. Ribbit. Bird Brave 5 says Captain Marvel, I think. Yes, that's right. Not Captain America. He's that other guy. Captain Marvel is the one that isn't the other guy because she's a gal, I think. Yes. Darren Wagner says most of the female superheroes who are female versions of male ones were created solely to be trademarked so that lesser publishers wouldn't create their own versions, like She-Hulk. Is She-Hulk a thing? Okay. Who's coming up? Come on. I need to see hands. Come on, school me. Is there a She-Hulk? And what, does she take anabolic steroids? Like what? Not that Hulk does too, but what that does to women? You know what it does to men, come to think of it. Don't do that. Why would you do that? Let's see. Hex Allen Comics. Hello. How are you? I will get to tweeting that. I got distracted in the middle of it. Let's see. Captain Trek. Sir Captain Trek, look, you made me sing. That's what happens. Here's another Darren. My father said, don't try to understand women because women understand women and they all hate each other. That is not true, but I think there is truth. I think I don't know. I don't want to say anything too sweeping. So, maybe I'll get canceled or something, but I think women often identify themselves much more with or against one another than men tend to identify themselves with or against one another. Like competition is different. I'm talking about something different. And when when women are so deeply embedded, because we're so deeply embedded in our social fabric, we tend to, I think it is more often that we, I don't want to say hate, but define ourselves as by the people we aren't. as much as define ourselves by the people that we are. But let me tell you something. If you're my peeps, I am a loyal woman, my friend. Not Ryan Johnson says, oh my gosh, that's so funny, to paraphrase. Darren Wagner says, She-Hulk isn't a monster like the Hulk, usually. She was created back in 1980. Interesting. And then we have Aberjam saying, She-Hulk has been around in the comics for a while. She is Bruce Banner's cousin and got her powers by injecting herself with his blood. Well, that's something I would never do. I would say right there, you've got something that a woman is less likely to do. But you know what? There are crazy people of all genders and races. And let's not forget, everybody's nuts. I would like to invite, would it be easier if I invited specific people up here? But then I feel like you're like, is that mean? I don't know. Why don't I just put the link in the chat? And you know what? If crazy people come on here, I'll just boot them. Here you go. Come on in. Knock on the door. Everything is fine. Can I get you a cup of coffee? Not Ryan Johnson says, Aberjam UK, I thought Banner injected her with his blood. These are very important questions in the universe. Let me return to my notes here. Let's see. Oh, and I have a Star Trek question. So all you Trekkies, hang in there, because that's just a little tease. But I do have a Star Trek question that is related to this. So these women are not Barbie dolls, and they're not social justice warriors, and they're not. There's so much that I think Marvel passively, like if you don't look at it carefully, you don't notice that they get right. It's much easier to see what they, when a big franchise gets something really wrong, right? But in this case, Wanda and Agatha and all of the women in this show are beautiful. They're not. It's not the kind of beauty that you see, just on the front page of the magazines in the grocery checkout. They're interesting looking. They're not predictable. They're not liberal. They're not conservative. But they're messy and powerful and beautiful. And we experience them walking through these decades of evolution of the American sitcom in a way that sort of starts to break down, like in the same way that Wanda starts to lose control of her power, or rather, it's not that she loses the power; she loses the control of the power. Like she stops being able to not do it. Things start to go awry. She starts to kind of buck against what's going on there. You see Wanda have children. You see her like struggling. You see her go through a kind of depression. They don't spend a lot of time on it, but I know no successful woman or powerful woman in the whole world, and they all are, who hasn't broken down from time to time and spent a lot of time in bed, completely incapable of doing normal things. That is life, and you see that through here. You also see that Wanda is a character who has lost a lot. She has experienced such incredible loss, and I think even better narratively, more important, Wanda has done a lot of really stupid crap that has hurt and killed a lot of people, and it all stems from this fact that she is incredibly powerful and she does not understand her own power. If you can't get a better analog for the evolution of women in American 20th century culture, then I don't know what. Women are never not powerful, but they spend a lot of time not understanding their own power and not using it. Can you see that parallel there? I mean, to me, that's absolutely and totally obvious and right on the surface. Hey, guess what? I've got a friend in the back. Hey, LDG. Hi, I see that you're there waving. I imagine you may have just gotten up because you were up late, my friend. I would love for you to join us up here if you would. Joseph Petrick, hi, so good to see you. Spoilers or not, I don't think I can avoid them. So, but I'm also not talking about the things that it seems like lots of people care about. I might want to talk a little bit about how Wanda and Agatha, what their relationship is like in the last episode, but I'm not sure that's been a real focus of very many people. Let's see. Yeah, right. Right. Thank you, Averjam. If LDG comes up here, I don't know what I can, what that means for your spoilerage. Look, I'm trying all the different things here. Hello, Jedi Bill. How are you, sir?
Good.
Oh, right. I have to put my headphones on. Oh, you know.
Yeah. It's okay.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. How are you? There.
Good.
That's what I want to do.
I had to watch this episode 3 times, and I'm still like, I'm come to the conclusion. I'm very disappointed.
Tell me why.
Well, all that to get to this, and it's like, really?
All of what to get to what? I'm not
all the build up to and all the theories. It looks like all the theories are wrong, and they bring in the what's that the race from Captain America. I didn't even think of the name.
Are you talking about a race of people?
The alien race that are shapeshifters. I can't think of their name right now.
I can't think of their name right now either. Because I don't know what you're talking about. I'm more interested in so you feel like there was just a lot of buildup and not much payoff.
Yeah.
What would the last what would have had to happen to feel like a payoff? What would have what I'm trying to figure out what it lacked for you.
I thought it was going to link to Doctor Strange, and it didn't do that at all.
Yes.
That was the big theory going.
My understanding is that it does link to him, especially in the last end credit scene. I'm trying to be a little sensitive because I want to make sure Joseph Petrick leaves before I say anything specifically about that. I mean, because in the end credit, in the credit scene, we find her basically in, down the mountain from Strange, reading his book.
The ending left me with a WTF moment. That's all what I'll say. In the final.
I think she's reading his book, right? Isn't it the dark book, the deep, the well, the book of deep, dark knowledge? What's it called? Somebody tell me. Why would anybody why would anyone?
The book of evil.
Why would anyone come to a stream by Andrea Seabrook to talk about this? That's my question.
You titled it. You titled it. You were one of wanted to talk about Wandavision.
Oh, I know, and sounds like I'm
like it's like kind of like fresh on my mind.
Yeah, I'm criticizing me, not you. I'm trying to say, Bill, that
at the drop when it dropped, it kept on buffering for me. It would not play for hours. It would not play.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was disappointing, I imagine, huh?
Oh yeah.
So wait.
I got done singing karaoke for 5 hours.
But wait, am I wrong, chat and Bill? that the end, post-credit scene, isn't that specific? Doesn't that just say, okay, look, Wanda's reading his shit. Wanda is reading straight. If she's not in league with him, then she's definitely reading his book. And it looks more like she's in a cabin on his property, basically. So it's like, seems like she's going to go have some, tutoring from him, and or maybe teach him some things, because we learned that she's actually, deeply more powerful. Did I read that wrong? Is anybody with me? You didn't get that, Bill?
Perhaps. I
mean, what, you know what I'm talking about? When she, in the very end, when she's...
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Okay, cool. We have some people in the chat saying the shapeshifters are Skrulls, right?
Yes, the Skrulls. That's the one that I couldn't think of their name. Thank you.
Yeah, and John DeMarco is saying Darkhold, I believe, is the name of the book. Yep. Bird of Prey, whose property? Doctor Strange's property. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's his, but, she's obviously in, it looked like Tibet to me, and that's where Doctor Strange's Valhalla is, or whatever the hell it's called.
Really? You got that there was Tibet? I didn't get there was anywhere in Tibet. It looked like just the mountains, which could be anywhere on the planet.
That's true. I think because it's his book, isn't it? I thought it was clear that the Darkhold book is something stolen from Doctor Strange. And she ends up with it because Agatha had it.
Shoot, now you're making me have to go watch all the AC movies just to refresh my mind, because I'm like, what the heck are you going on about? What did Geeks Enjoying Erotica lead you on to?
No, I did not get that from LDG. Although I think he knows, he knows what he's talking about, unlike some other people, namely the host of this show. John DeMarco says, yes, I think the last scene is supposed to tie in with Doctor Strange. Yeah, to me it seemed pretty clear. And Captain Trek says, thank God no more on this show. Do not have to hear about it anymore. Yeah, I felt a lot like that too, until I got excited about the sitcom progression and the women. Aberjam says, I think the setup for Doctor Strange 2 is she's off to the multiverse to rescue her kids. Interesting. I think her kids don't exist. I think they're gone. And I don't...
Yeah, because she said all that was her memory of him from the Mind Stone. Yes.
Yeah, although there's this... Remember, he combined with White Vision, who had all of the sort of physical properties. Right. So who knows? I think they left themselves all the leeway in the world. They basically said, this could be anything. Where the goodbye.
Real Vision's personality lies in. But what if they're going to do anything with it, I don't know.
Yeah, they gave themselves a total free pass. He could be alive, he could be dead, could be the multiverse. I'm still mega
disappointed with the whole thing. I mean, it's like, watching this WandaVision, it took some time to, like, what am I watching? What is this all coming to? And in the end, I feel like it's such a huge letdown.
That's interesting. Because I had the exact opposite. I expected nothing and was elated by it. And I think because they made this show to talk about women and to talk about women's relationships and their power and how they deal with their power, And so I kept getting what I thought was interesting about the show, and it really, all the stuff that everybody else wanted from the show ended up being secondary. So I think this show was about, look, Agatha, got her power through Dynasty, inheritance, incredible amounts of learning, hard work, and hardcore ambition. That woman wants power. She wants it. She wants to wield it. She wants everything, right?
Mm-hmm. True.
Wanda naturally has the power for reasons she doesn't understand. She has no parents left, no lover left, no brother left. She is identityless. If she identifies with the people around her, they're all gone. She is left in her head. She's got mental health issues, and she's the most powerful being in the universe. And she's never studied even a tiny bit. And you have this incredible, at once, the tension between knowledge gained through ambition and work versus knowledge gained through natural talent and just being. And they explore this incredible what you think of a hardcore ambitious woman. They play with that. The last couple of weeks, the discussion even among our communities was like, is Agatha good or bad? Good or bad? Good or bad? And everybody's like, oh, she's terrible. She's evil.
Like,
blah, blah, blah.
3 weeks ago, you knew she was bad.
She's not bad, though. Yeah. She's flawed deeply and ambitious and cruel. But look what happens. She says to Wanda, you may need me. And Wanda says, that's why you can stay here, basically. She punishes her. But Agatha isn't a villain. She's like chaotic neutral or something. To go with D&D talk. Hello, not Ryan Johnson. Welcome to the party.
Hello, how's everybody doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm on lunch at work, so I'm trying to figure I'd jump in for a little bit before I get back into a meeting.
Thank you so much. Hold on one second, and let me just go through and see a couple things. Talking about the end scene, Bird of Prey, we were talking about where that is and connecting Doctor Strange, and Bird of Prey 5 says, I think she's up near the logging cabin Dexter is living at until his glorious return. Watch out. Actually, that's a fun thing. I went to college with Michael C. Hall, who is the guy who plays Dexter and is in cool. 6 Feet Under. Yeah, he's a friend of mine. And I was thinking that, I should have him on sometime to talk. I mean, he's governed by forces much bigger than Andrea's 82 followers. But
they are doing I think they're doing an updated miniseries.
Yeah, I heard that too. And he's coming back. I know that.
Yeah, they have to have him back.
Yeah, I mean, what is Dexter without Dexter?
It'd be a really big letdown if they bring the show back and he's not there.
Dexter 2. Dexter has a kid. No. And then let's see.
He did have a kid.
But then Bird says, the mountain looked like Everest, but then the property looked like the Pacific Northwest. Well, we almost always see pictures of Tibet up in the mountains. Tibet looks like the Pacific Northwest in a lot of it when you're not at high altitudes. I mean, I saw it and I was immediately like, oh, she's on his, the monastery property. To me, that was totally clear. No,
it did not look like Tibet at all. That looked like somewhere in North America.
Well, I'm trying to say that most of Tibet is up in the mountains, but a lot of it isn't, and there are a lot of green places with cabins and stuff.
It could be a lot of different areas because with that backdrop. But I just thought it was interesting that she's, outside, and yet her spirit, is in with the book, analyzing.
Yeah. And to me, that's strange. Isn't that totally Doctor Strange behavior?
Well, I've seen. I was on Twitter earlier, and everybody's saying she's more powerful than Strange because he was in his. He went out of his body when he was unconscious. When here she is, she's up and around doing stuff, and yet she's studying the Darkhold at the same time.
Right. I mean, I think they made it clear that they're setting her up to be the most powerful thing ever, but it's also the MCU, so they get to rearrange any of that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have as big a background or memory in comic books like Darren would, but power levels fluctuate depending on who's in charge of Marvel and the writers at
Yeah.
the time. So,
Right, and they always do things like, "Oh, she's the most powerful. She has spectral vision." Oh, and this person. I mean, it's fantasy. We're not.
Yeah.
This is not science fiction.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm not so interested in whether she's at the top of the heap. To me, what I see is that they're setting her up to be of the same ilk, right, as Doctor Strange.
I was looking at Latino Slant's comments. At the end of the day, she's a villain. Talking about Agatha Harkness, saying that she's a villain. She, as much as she is amazing, and Wanda is our hero, flawed and all. They're both flawed. It's just depending on what your point of view is on it. Because here's Scarlet. Here's Wanda. Going through the. That's one of the things I liked about the show is that she went through all. Nobody ever really goes about the grief. And your mental attitude, and you got to see that how she's taking that out on other people trying to run away from it. And then
was that like some kind of sci-fi train that just went past you?
Maybe.
I thought we were getting beamed aboard.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, no, I totally hear you, and I hear what Latino is saying too, but I disagree. I think I think one of the things that they set up is there's a great moment. Wanda's done some really bad shit too, right?
Yeah.
But she literally says to Agatha at one point, the difference is I didn't do it on purpose. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. You did it on purpose, Agatha. And I think there's some really fun possibilities for narrative there, especially because they keep Agatha alive. Like, they basically put her in a room and said, I'm going to come back. We know that it's very clear that Agatha has an incredible amount of book learning as well. It's not just that she stole it. And Polly, in one way that I also disagree is that both in the witch scene where in the very first like coven scene that you see, where Agatha gets her power, she's actually surprised that she gets it. Right? It's like this. There's some force that makes it so that when someone's trying to steal all the power from one of these witches, they end up getting it all. And that happens again later, right? So it's not, there is a lot of bad in her, but she's also, I think there is room for redemption. I think that's the right way to say it. She's never going to become an Avenger or whatever you call a witch, mutant, whatever. I don't know. But there is room for redemption. That's what I think.
But that's kind of like what happened in the Doctor Strange movie. You had Baron Mordo. He became, here he was like the follower of the Ancient One, and then he got disillusioned about the whole thing. And now, at the end of that movie, he was going around saying, magic is bad and nobody should be using it. And
right.
Take it out on every single sorcerer. So it's the same, kind of the same with Agatha. But, But it's a conscious choice, because in the beginning, when she's tied up in the past, they're trying to drain her, and she takes it, and she didn't know what to do. But she says in the episode that she's the one who's going to decide who gets magic and who doesn't.
Yeah.
Saying magic is bad is hypocritical, because the wizards are using them, right?
Well,
I mean,
what isn't hypocritical nowadays?
Yeah. Aberjam says, don't forget that at the very end, when she's actually reading that book, so we're talking after the episode's officially over, we hear her kids call out, "Mom!" So totally, kids could come back. You're right. I shouldn't speculate on that. I also don't.
I could speculate on that.
Go ahead. Tell us.
Only because, from my understanding of the comics, the Darkhold lures you like it would like the Lord of the Rings, the One Ring. It's going to want to tempt you with your fondest desire.
Mm-hmm.
So
here
she is, and it's also like it's like a doorway that's going to lead you to one of the elder gods in Marvel. This is from the comic book side. It may not, they may not use it in the the MCU, but it leads to the elder god who created the Darkhold. And if she was forged, could she be forged so that this thing can come into our reality? And by tempting her with, oh, you can have the power to bring your children back. So here she is at the end, the duality of her trying to be away from everybody, but then still that thing of power and being lured to, oh, I can have my kids. I can have what I want and, then get there. So we don't know, but that's kind of something that could be used.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I do think that I felt like she had a really strong relationship with these kids, but it was also kind of stunted and weird. But then by the very end, when she there's that wonderful line where she's like, boys, will you take care of the military for me? Like, she's acknowledging that they have power and basically letting them in to the Wandavision family finally. Like, they're saying, you are powerful too. You're born into this. That's another story arc that builds up. But there's that great line where she's looking up at Agatha. Agatha has just said, like, same story, different century. There will always be pitchforks and torches for ladies like us, which is basically like witches, that is a straight up call out to sexism, right? Powerful women are terrifying. That's what they're trying to say, right? And then I love that Wanda, the one who is a mother, turns around and says, you boys deal with the military. Mommy will be right back to go to go fight like a superhero. To me, that the incredibly powerful female mother is just, that just makes me feel good. That's like, yeah, okay, I can get with that. That's not someone telling me I either have to be a mother or a powerful, successful person. That's like, I choose what I do when, and who I am. Because
it's, a lot, it's being told from different, I guess, like my wife would say, she's figuring things out for herself, but she's always felt like I have to be the best at everything. And I can have everything, but if once you want something, I told her, I was like, you want something, it's like, what are you going to give up or sacrifice to get there?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
And and for her, it was very tiring for her trying to, for her to get to that point of what do I want, what do I not want?
And let me tell you, honey bun, that is the classic modern woman story. Anybody's story.
Yeah.
Anybody's. John DeMarco is, Polly, Latina Slant, was saying that it's not a point of view. Agatha actually, killed her kin. That is true, but do you remember, she wasn't trying to. That was a live or die situation. Yeah, and her kin were trying to kill her. Let's not forget that. All she had been doing was stealing knowledge. She had gained knowledge that, can you talk about a more foundational, that's Adam and Eve stuff, right? She had taken knowledge that she wasn't supposed to have, and so the coven got mad at her, and they tried. Can we just say, if there was someone right about this show, it was me, because this show is almost only about women. It's about power and women, and powerful women, and how they get their power, and how they make relationships with one another, and who they have, who they have as lovers. Apparently Agatha has a rabbit. I'm going on too far there. But yeah. So, but then I think Polly makes a really good. Let me finish this one thing. Polly makes a really good point that Agatha is a dynamic adversary who we can side with a lot. The best villains are full and complex, and Mr. Pauly tips his hat and reminds us of Al Swearingen from Deadwood. If you have not joined us, check us out for Deadflix and Chill. That's Polly and I, Latino Slant and I over on Latino's channel have a Deadwood watch party, which you will hear the schedule of at some other point where it's every week, but we have some scheduling things coming up. So that's a very good point, Polly. It's maybe they're just making a sophisticated character out of Agatha, but I tend to think that you never know. You know what? Because now they'll bring in other writers and producers, and who knows? But I tend to think that they've set up a really good opportunity here for finding out that women who have identified themselves against each other, who have been enemies, essentially, often turn out to have the deepest and most intimate, close relationships, and can build and find redemption in life together, ultimately. And that sounds like a sort of Cinderella-y, but I think there's some real deep truth that hasn't been explored here and is set up well. Jedi, what did you just share there?
Oh, that's Ryan Johnson's YouTube channel.
Oh, cool.
Needs more subscribers.
Cool.
I have nothing there, but he's like, need more subscribers. I'll take them.
Oh, okay. I thought you wanted subscribers. I'm trying to help you out, friend.
But thank you.
Hey, Polly is bringing us back to Wakanda for a second and saying, Killmonger was T'Challa's outcasted cousin, and yes, absolutely. And I think we haven't seen the rest of that storyline either. Although, who knows? Oh, I don't want to. Let's not go off into Wakanda totally. But I think there's a lot of good stuff to be explored in that relationship too, because Killmonger was totally dropped out there. You can understand that too. You're right. I'm saying Polly's right. Bien. Qué bueno. Eres muy inteligente. Muy listo. Okay, so Ryan Johnson, not Ryan Johnson. I have no idea what your actual name is. None. All I know is that you are not one other person on the planet.
That's right. Because I've had other people. I had Professor Brain Respect would be like, "Have you figured out who you are yet?" And I'm like, "No, not just when I'm about to figure it out. I fall 3 steps back."
You see Ryan Johnson on TV, and you're like, all I know is that I'm not that guy.
I'm not that guy. One guy I don't want to be.
Can I ask the people in the chat and you guys too? How is my mic? How does it? This is a new mic. Am I too loud? Am I too soft?
No, you're fine.
No, not at all.
Loud and clear. 5x5.
Oh, good.
Absolutely.
Good.
Sounds great.
Great. Mm-hmm. I hope it sounds better than my computer mic does. But so I was going to ask you, not Ryan Johnson. Do you have last thoughts about? I mean, I know you said you have to get back to work, and I'm not booting you off, but I want to make sure I hear from you any other last thoughts about what do you think of my women's thing here? What do you think?
Good question. I mean, just me. I'm I cannot say this out loud. It's I have a bias because unfortunately in my house, it's a lot of the shows that my wife watches. Everything she watches is that same kind of thing where it's it's the women empowerment, it's the women running everything. And I look at her, and she wants me to watch these shows, and I look at her, and I go and I tell her, why is it that a lot of the male characters are made to look like they're dumb?
Yeah,
because it's there was a show she's watching. I think it's Blue Sky on ABC, and they have the two main characters are female, and when they have FBI agents and all these other things in there, they're dumb. It's they don't offer anything, and they can't figure out everything, but the main characters can.
Yeah,
and I look at her, and I look at her every once in a while, and she wants, "Can we watch this?" And I'm like, I have a bad habit of looking up stuff, the shows she wants to watch, and I get a quick brief, see what's going on. I'm like, I want to watch that. Why is that? I was like, it's going to end up being the same thing. The men are going to be made to be dumb, and I'm like, I don't see. I mean, for me, I want a more balance, because I see in the world today, it's when something's wrong, we overcorrect.
Yes.
It's we didn't have representation for, say, X group women.
Yes.
black representation, all these things. But then we
Yes.
overcorrects where it's like, okay, now they're too powerful or
Yep.
know too much, and then everybody else is made to look. Anybody else who doesn't fit into that category or that group
Right.
is made to look ridiculous
Right.
or befuddled, or they don't know what they're talking about.
Right. Right.
When there should be that correction, should be right to the middle where it's like, hey, you know what? So what, a woman come up with a great idea? So what would this group came up with a great idea in the story? What we want is great stories and great characters.
Yeah.
And when I think, sorry, and I think a lot of the time we as fans get criticized or thrown into that group of, oh, you don't like this because of this, or you don't like this. We want a good, when it comes down to it, we just want a good story. And it's going to take us from point A to point B, and we want to be taken along and enjoy the ride.
Yeah. My friends, my friend, not Ryan Johnson, and all of my friends here, you actually proved yourself in that vein with this show, because this show from the very beginning was about all of this chick shit, and mostly you didn't notice. And that is what makes it so great, because not only did the show do it well, but that's a testament to the fact that you just proved exactly the point you made, which is you don't care. You don't care whether it's chick shit or not. What you want is a really good story.
Yeah. The other things that go along with, because everybody wants to push that narrative of it's got to be about this. It's got to be about that label. It's got to be about that group. It doesn't.
Bullshit. Right. And in fact, once you approach storytelling as an avatar for some social message, some moral social message, then you have blocked the opportunity to tell a real story with human depth that actually has a greater social purpose. You're playing at that point. You're taking GI Joes and walking them around like this. You can't have complex characters when a woman must be the leader. Or you can't. You lose all contact with reality. It becomes shadow puppets at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we really don't. It shouldn't be. This has to be the way it's got to be when you tell them a story. It should flow. It should be. I mean, the stories I really like to get into are the ones where I'm losing. I could read, watch a show or pick up a book, lose track of time because he gets so invested in it.
Yeah. Oh, isn't that just the best feeling?
Yeah, but I see a lot of shows I get into. If I find something that just seems like it doesn't click right, it's like I start to fall out of the story.
Yeah. Look, John DeMarco is saying much the same thing. One of the good things about Wandavision, the women are strong without the men being stupid or useless. For example, Wanda's vision rescues her from white vision. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, the show was I think you make a really good point, not Ryan Johnson, and I think John DeMarco is also talking about this. I think people don't realize the, I don't know, I don't want to call it pain, but maybe intense insult of taking, say, white men and making them the reason everything is wrong in all of these, in all of our cultural properties. That's not to say that that's a worse. I'm not doing some bullshit all lives matter thing, because that's just, forget that. But like, I am saying that we need to do better than just make the other side the ones who are winning for a while. Yeah.
I mean, John was saying that. Darren makes a good point. Was there a white male in the show that wasn't evil, stupid, or weak? Who was you had your older male character who was, from the military. He was the one line I remember was when Monica shows up and he was just like, you weren't here for 5 years. You don't know what it's like. They didn't do anything with that because, they just stuck with he's bad. He's going to be that standard like military guy who's going to go in there. It's like, no, this isn't. This is what's got to be done. we don't. I would wish they would have gotten more into that. What did happen, in those 5 years that would have got him to be what he,
Yeah.
got
But
him to where he is.
I mean, Vision is not a white man. He's not white or a man. But I don't know. I guess it just seems like he fits into that. I don't know. I don't think you're trying to say, Darren, that this show was being sort of skewed that way. But I see your point.
I just think that's more of a trope because you have a lot of shows where when you have the military come in, whoever's in charge of the military is going to be that stickler of this goes against my military background and we have to do this and this is how it's going to be. Mm-hmm. Following orders.
Yeah.
And one of the other things that throws it is the shows are, you only get X amount of shows for a series or a season.
Yeah.
It's not like I used to be when we were younger where a series went for 20 episodes?
20, 26?
Like 18, 25.
It's crazy.
You had a long time to really examine stuff. Now you're trying to tell a lot in these stories in a smaller amount of time, and you can't get to stuff.
Yeah.
You have to focus on these major characters and what they're going through, and then you may pop up something for the minor characters. Yeah.
Jeddah, I want to turn it to you in just a quick second, but I just lastly on this point, even I think it seems to me, Darren, that you're looking to, sort of, I don't know. It seems like a very small. I don't think you're saying this show was really doing this horrible thing. I think you're arguing to show a point, but not. I don't think you're actually complaining that this show like canceled white men. And my sense is that it didn't need to do that. Like we've been talking about, like it did a good job of having full, complex, interesting characters who are women, who are good and bad and do many things and are superheroes and take on societal questions, to the point that we didn't notice it was a show about women. And so I tend to think that it probably slides through there. But Jedi Bill, what is your big thought here? I hear you there, and I'm thinking, I wonder what he's thinking right there. What's your mate? What do you take of this?
Well, I think I see your point of it. It's focused essential on the woman characters. Yeah, I definitely see that. Where it ties into another, if there would be another one, there's season 2 or not, or the next Doctor Strange movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's very questionable. It's like, yeah, do I want to find out?
Would you go along for the ride?
I don't know at this point. I really don't know.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, the expectations game here too. I mean, it sounds like a lot of the reason you didn't love it is because it didn't give you any of the things you were excited to get.
Yeah. Nope. Yeah. So the Marvel one that I've most waited for is the one that's coming up next of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's a continuation of Captain
I have
America
literally never heard of that.
That comes out in a couple of weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's going to be the next one. Yeah.
I would have read that and like the title and assumed it had something to do with like the far Western Front of World War II.
It has Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan are like the main.
Are you not 22 films invested in the MCU universe? No, you're not. Oh, okay. See, I'm invested in these things because I've watched all 22 films, and I had to wait a whole year to get this Wandavision thing, and I'm just like, really? This is what you gave me?
That's a big thing because you had this incredible build-up starting from Iron Man all the way to Avengers Endgame, all the movies in between, and they built this crescendo, and then it's like, okay, you've reached the top of the mountain. It's like, now where do you go?
Okay. So let me ask you guys each in turn this, and everybody in the chat. Give me a moment, one moment in one property of the MCU, anything, as long as it's, I guess, canon or whatever, right? Just give me one moment that made you go, oh, that gave you that sense of awe. I'm trying to understand what it is this show didn't have that something else in the MCU did give you, so I can kind of get what you're talking about. So I want each of you, and I'm talking to you in the chat too, get on there and tell me about a single moment in one of the franchises that made you go, holy shit, or like gave you that thing. Okay. And I'm going to ask you two that. Which one of you can immediately off the top of your head think of one of them? Okay, tell me, Bill. Yes, please.
Okay, with the films, it left me with anticipation. This TV show, it leaves me with, like, oh God, do I, I'm not excited. When I saw the films and it led on, I was excited and anticipating what comes next.
Okay, give me one single moment. Give me any example that you're talking about. I'm not challenging you. I'm trying to understand.
I know
I'm going to make it clear.
What
do you think now, Ryan Johnson? Can you think of just someplace in any reveal or any moment that made you like, oh wow, cool! I can't wait for the next one or whatever.
I don't know, because I had a comic book background, so it's like a lot of the stuff I kind of figured was coming. So I mean, they did change some things, but overall, it's like I was just happy to get these things where I was, the kid in me came back, because it's all the comics I collected when I was a kid. And for decades, I was like, oh, I wish they'd just turn these into movies. And then just to finally get one, I guess it'll have to be the first Iron Man, because it's like finally getting to see them take, a comic book movie and make it legitimate.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the comic books, a lot of the movies that turn into comic book ideas or would turn into movies were just horrendous.
Yeah.
Growing up on that kind of disappointment where it's like, oh, and then you see Iron Man where it's like, oh, you have this, Robert Downey Jr. being at the time he was in, this is like, they had to take a lot of chances on him to get him to do that movie.
Yeah.
And then that just kind of like, his career just took off from that. So it's like just seeing that little tiny movie that who knows if it would have been good, bad, whatever. And then all of a sudden it just opened the doors to everything that came after.
Yeah. Okay. We've got a couple people in the chat saying, first of all, Darren, I'm going to take on and off my glasses all the time just for you, babes. John DeMarco says, I enjoyed WandaVision. However, one of my favorite awe-inspiring moments from the MCU films is when Captain America lifted Thor's hammer. Somebody,
that I forgot about.
Describe that to me. Tell us.
That whole thing, and when he finally says the words "Avengers Assemble," even though he doesn't yell it, he just says it low. Everybody's been, because they were cutting it off from the Avengers movies. They'd have Captain America be like Avengers, and then the movie would end. When you finally have that build, when you finally have everybody together, and he just says "Avengers Assemble," and then Thor screams, and the final battle begins. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, and Berta Prey says the Thanos snap.
Oh,
what is that?
That was end of Infinity War. That was when the good guys lose.
Yeah.
So tell me what about that moment? Tell me what happened in that moment that was like, ah!
Well, that was, they know that the whole thing of the build-up for the MCU was the idea of the Infinity Stones. And when you get all of them together, you can do anything. You become all powerful. So Thanos's whole thing was, I'm going to wipe out half of life in the universe. His whole thing was he came from a planet that was overcrowded, not enough resources for everyone. So his whole thing was, I'm gonna try to find a way to. You got to sacrifice half the population to save everyone, to save the rest. So that was his whole goal. So when he finally gets all of them and then snaps his finger, that's when you just see half of everyone just getting dusted, turning to dust.
But, it was like a metaphor for COVID.
Was it? Jenna, explain that to me. No, tell me.
Maybe.
What do you mean?
I'm just kidding.
No, I think it's fascinating. It's fascinating. I just want to hear all your great thoughts. Let's see. Darth Aster is here and he says, Thanos snaps, looking at you, you no longer exist. Oh, is that true? He can just be like, punk.
He just snapped his finger and then you would just see people just wiping out, and it's indiscriminate. It's not like, it's like the roll of the dice, whether you survived or not.
Oh, wow.
And you see regular people, you see heroes, you see everybody just turning to dust and going away.
Oh, cool.
And then that was Infinity War. And then when you pick up Endgame, it's 5 years later. So that's why I said about the 5 years, because it was what happened during those 5 years.
Right. Yes. Right.
Here you have half of the population on Earth and half the population on every planet in the universe is suddenly gone.
Wow. Yeah.
And
that's amazing.
And it could have been you. It could have been your loved ones. It could have been friends. You don't know who it was, and so you don't. That whole thing, the beginning of the movie, is just how you're walking into how everybody's responding to it after 5 years later.
Bird of Prey 5 is saying Spider-Man disintegrating along with half the life in the universe. This is another one of those moments.
Because Spider-Man was basically like he's with, I think it was with Iron Man, and it's just like, oh, I don't feel so good, and then you just see him lift away. Boink.
John DeMarco says it was built up over several movies. This is the Thor's hammer thing, how hardly anyone was worthy to lift the hammer. But then Cap, in a critical moment, proves he is worthy.
They also set that up.
What's that?
They actually did a setup for that, because they had in one of the other Avengers movies where Thor puts his hammer down and he's, everybody's trying to lift it, and Cap had grabbed it and it fudges a little bit. Nobody notices except for Thor. Thor was like, okay.
Well, cool.
So it just wasn't his time yet.
And at the beginning, right, this is where what's her face comes from, right? Monica. She was in the snap, right? And that's when her mother died, and
so she wasn't there for her mother when her mother passed away.
Yeah. So we hear a little bit about that. And Bird is saying they talked about Snap in episode 1, WandaVision, when the guy tells Monica she doesn't know what it was like to keep the lights on after the snap. Yeah. I should probably very quickly explain the glasses thing. I did this yesterday too. They're reading glasses, and I'm self-conscious about being seen only with my reading glasses on. So maybe it's something I just need to suck up and get over. But I would much rather my choices are either to keep putting them up on my head and looking like I feel like I look, or wearing them on the end of my nose so that I can do this. And that, I'm not quite ready to be that old, I think. Again, maybe I need to get over it and not give such a shit about it. But that is why I keep putting my glasses up and down. And Captain Trek says, Darren said he could make a drinking game out of it, and he would be totally drunk out of taking a drink every time I put my glasses up and down. And Captain Trek says, pass the bottle and the shot glass. It might make it better. I don't know. I'm sorry I'm ruining your day, Captain Trek, but we love you. Oh, and you're going. Well, that's good, because you shouldn't stay on streams about things that you don't care about. Let's see. Darth Aster. Look good with them on. Okay. All right. Thanks. It's just, I feel like all I am is a pair of orange glasses, but I'll get over it, right? It's iterative. I'm still getting used to the thing. I was in radio, right? Radio. This is not easy for me. I was also, a chubby girl tuba player. It's not easy.
Well, this is a lot like radio.
It is a lot like radio, actually. It feels intuitive for that part. The worst thing is looking at myself. So, that's why I keep putting my glasses up. So anyway, so it sounds to me, Bill, like you were saying this WandaVision didn't have one of those moments for you. Like all of these things, it didn't have any like a big important moment for you.
Yeah. No, not really.
I'm with you, Jed. I'm with you, Bill, because I watched the whole series and I'm like, all right, there was nothing. For me, it felt like kind of like a filler. Although it tells a good story.
Basically, yeah.
It's like, this is the top. Kind of gives the impression it's trying to hold you over until the next big thing.
It's a snack between lunch and dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a backstory thing.
Oh, yeah, because that's what it's going to be. I mean, Jedi's looking forward to the next one, The Falcon and the Wooden Soldier, where it's going to be. And then after that, you have Loki series comes out.
Wait, this Falcon and Wooden Soldier? Is that what you said?
Winter
Soldier. Yeah. That thing is that going to be another series or is it a movie?
That's another series.
No, but they were all linked to the movies.
Yeah. Right. But I wanted to know which kind of. So is it going to be kind of like Mandalorian or WandaVision? This kind of. Well, I mean, I think they're pretty different, but a serial show on Disney Plus.
Yes.
Yeah, they're going to tell their old story because I mean, Winter Soldier is just Bucky Barnes. That was Bucky from the Captain America original comics.
Wow, I don't know anything about this. So wait.
We got to get you on the stream with Darren. Give you the entire.
You need to do a whole lot of homework, Andrea.
I love being on streams with Darren. He is such a really good explainer and talker, and
he's a really good resource on.
He's a great guy
on a lot of different subjects.
Yeah, agreed. I always enjoy being with Darren, and plus he can give and take a little ribbing, and that always makes it fun.
As Trigger has had learned.
Oh, has he? Okay, I don't. I haven't been over there and seen them, but okay. So Falcon Crest and the Wooden Soldier are
the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Oh my God, you're slaying.
Oh my God,
you're slaying the names.
It's gonna be about Buckminster Fuller and the avenging nuclear 5X things. No? Okay. That gets me to a different point, which is that I don't think they are going to make I don't think there's ever going to be a second season of WandaVision. I don't think this is not what that show is. This show is like it's like a circular that came in your newspaper. How's that for an old reference? This was a special section of the newspaper one day that was about one thing. So you get a backstory and you get some history and you have deeper connection to the characters going back into the movies. And part of the reason why I think they do that is because the movies that I have seen of the MCU, when they start bringing in all these characters, there is no time at all for someone who isn't already connected to it to understand or care what's going on. It's like, oh, there's another guy. Oh, he's got books and can do things. Like if you don't already have that backstory, then there's no reason to go to the movie. And you'll just, so these like nuggets of backstory are the things that make it possible later to have Wanda or her kids and so on to come in. That's not to say they won't ever do another WandaVision, but I imagine if they do, it'll be sort of thought out in the next, I don't know, years from now. I would assume that this is a one-off thing in terms of a series, and I wonder if they're
just they're trying to sell you to the next movie. It's just one filler basically.
Oh yeah,
I don't think character development and depth is filler. I think that's
because their lack of innovation, I think, and storytelling. I
thought this was totally innovative. You didn't think it was innovative?
A little bit.
I'm pulling from. Sorry, Jeff. Sorry, Bill. Sorry, Jenny, Bill.
Go ahead. I'm done.
I was just going to say it's coming from the comic book background, as Darren can attest to. Comic books were, your one-shot stories or your or a 2-shot story, then they turned into longer stories with within the series. Then you started having your crossovers where you had 2 characters in one. Then you started having these bigger and bigger stories, and they turned into multi-title stories being told. Then you had a grand event that would take place once a year where you had all these characters from all these different titles coming and meeting up to fight some kind of gigantic threat. And then it became that's going to be this year. And then the next year they would do one. And then it slowly snowballed into multiple times during the year. You're expected to pick up all these titles to know what's going on with this grand story. Because you can read the grand story, but then it'd be like, well, if you want more background on this, you got to jump to this particular title and this particular number of that title. So that's what the MCU has done. They've given you the individual character movies, and then they bring you into the Avengers, which the Avengers would be the catalyst to have the grander story with all the other characters. So they're sucking you into a gigantic story, and then they finished it.
Yeah. Okay. So it sounds like there's some element of commodification that you're talking about, like business model-y stuff, that it starts to border on like a little cynical. And that turns fans off. But I wouldn't apply that to WandaVision. I think John DeMarco is agreeing with me down here that they did at least this part of it well, where they actually had some depth of character development.
Sorry. I was going to say, I think on a smaller scale, it's not filler because it's an entity unto itself, has a beginning, a middle, and end. It tells the story. But on the larger scale for the MCU, it can be considered filler because this is just going to hold you over and get you from one story to the next.
And that's where I am. That's where I see this.
Yeah, and that's why I agree with Jedi Bill on that, where it's a story, it tells a good story, but there's nothing. It doesn't fill you up to like the bigger movies do.
Interesting. See, I think that's very astute, and I appreciate your explanation, everybody. And everybody in the chat and everybody on the panel. We're going to start wrapping up in just a second, but as you were saying that, not Ryan Johnson, and so clearly and balance in a balanced way explained this very smart point. I was looking at your avatar of Sam the Eagle, and I thought, how fitting that you have Sam the Eagle as your avatar.
Muppet Lives Matter.
That's right. Muppets Lives Matter. Well, originally I had a Beaker.
Oh, okay. So are you more of a Beaker or a Sam? Because they seem like opposites, really.
I'm right now. Well, Beaker, I just did it because it was funny, but I'm more towards Sam the American Eagle because I'll be like, you are all weirdos. And I'm one of you too, but it's
you are all weirdos.
I could be cranky at the same time, depending on the mood you catch me in.
I love him. Look, here's Darren's latest comment says, WandaVision had me caring more about Wanda and Vision than I did in the movies. That's the real power of the television format. Amen. Hands down. It really is just a very different beast. It's interesting to me that because it's the MCU, they've had lots of film production crews and showrunners and so on, producers working on these, The Mandalorian and WandaVision and some other things. But but these are people who very clearly know the difference between the two formats. And I think they're doing a pretty good job of exploiting the format for the right kinds of stories.
Absolutely.
So that's impressive. That's impressive. It's real easy to go outside those lanes and really screw up. So, I think I'm gonna wrap it up in just a second. There's always more to say. I have so much more to say, and I have 1,000 clips, and I'm really slow at editing video right now. So, bear with me. I'm glad I haven't put out a video yet because there were some great moments, like the moment of like, hold on, boys, mommy will be right back. Like it's as if G.I. Joe had turned to the men and said, roll on, or something. Like there's like that's a call out to those of us who are women who solve problems and like are badass people or try to be. and also are extremely nurturing mother types. It's a weird life, you know. We'll talk about that another time. How about? But okay. So let's do this then. I want everybody in the chat, and if you're watching this, this is my demand of you now. And I demand, if you're going to stay watching my open and totally free show, that you answer this question: what are you going to watch now? Now that WandaVision's over, what is if it's not like, I'm going to ask you guys in a second, so get ready, not and Jed, you know what? It's not like we're replacing it. We've all got a queue now of things that we want to watch, but like, what could fill that space for those of us who are looking for the next thing that's like thoughtfully produced, well written, exciting or interesting? Put it out there, and I don't care who you are. You write it in the chat now. John DeMarco, I've never heard of that show. Great discussion today. So come on, get with the program.
I feel like I talk too much. I was just like,
no, you sound great. No, I love it.
It's just one of those topics I can get passionate about and I could actually get into.
No, I'm so excited that I'm going to have to like ask you to be on more formally. What are you going to watch? Not. I'm just going to call you not from now on.
You know what? I don't know, only because my wife gets up at 4:30 in the morning to get ready to go because she's a teacher and she gets up early so she can be on the road.
Wow.
And get to work. So I'm up with her, and Friday mornings, when she gets up, I would just head right to the living room and watch WandaVision before I touch the computer, before I did anything, because they don't want anybody ruining it.
Right, like we are right now.
Yeah, but for shows, I mean, right now I'm watching.
Bill's throwing money at me, everyone.
I don't know if I have a show to replace it, but I mean, there's one show I'm really into right now. It's just called Prodigal Son.
I've never heard of it. Tell us a little bit about Prodigal Son. We all need a good show.
It's the story. I mean, it's on Fox. The main character is the son of a serial killer.
Oh, okay. So maybe it is Dexter too.
It's kind of like a Dexter thing, but he's grown up, and he's the one who found out his father was a serial killer.
Oh, wow.
So you're dealing with him, who was a former FBI profiler who got fired, went back to New York where he lives. He ends up becoming working with the police to solve crimes as a consultant profiler. But then you have the backstory of his father's still around. His father still wants, to be in his life.
Wait, his father, the serial killer?
His father is a serial killer. The actor Michael Sheen plays the serial killer.
Oh, wow.
So
interesting.
Here he is with this incredibly strange, father-son relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And then his mother is, they were rich, and they were rich. So then you have his mother, who's pretty much been living like her own reality of not wanting to deal with what had happened. Mm-hmm. And then his sister is a reporter.
From now on, I'm going to be watching Bill's Cats. That's the show that's my favorite show. It's called Jedi Bill's Cats. This one looks like it's about to step on your face. Right. Like I think he really might. He really is coming down the side of the. Okay. Okay. Thank you. So the name of the show, not Ryan Johnson, once again, is
Prodigal Son. It's in season 2 now.
Okay, Prodigal, which is great.
Make it through this season.
Well, and I love to watch shows that already have a lot of seasons because I'm a total binge watcher. Like I didn't watch any of WandaVision until like 3 weeks ago because I like to get way behind and then watch a whole lot at once. It's just the way my brain works. Let me quickly say, I'd like to ask, there are some really good ideas coming in. I want to hear from Darren. I want to hear from Bird of Prey. I want to hear from, let's see, Darth Haster already put one in. Captain Trek's gone. Anybody else out there? I see you. I see your numbers, but I don't know who you are.
John DeMarco with Stargate SG-1. It's always a good show to
watch. So before we get to you, Jedi, just a second. So Darth Haster is saying Farscape. is a show. I don't know what that is, but Darth Haster, if you want to real quick jot in a sentence into the chat, I'll talk about that. Like John DeMarco says, with WandaVision over, I plan to go back to watching Stargate SG-1, which I remember seeing a couple episodes when it first came out and thinking, that's kind of weird and wonky or something. I love sci-fi. I'm a huge sci-fi fan. Maybe I just didn't give it enough time, but it convinced me. Come on, let's do it. Jedi Bill, what are you going to watch next?
I'm going to start watching on HBO Max the Lovecraft show.
Ooh, Lovecraft Country.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be great. In fact, I think, was it Darth Haster that was talking about that? No, I think Darth Haster just loves H.P. Lovecraft.
Max and I need to watch it, so.
Yes. Well, that's good. I started watching, totally different world vein. Actually, maybe not, now that I think of it. It's called Atypical. I think it's on. Yeah, it's Netflix. It's on Netflix. Okay, yeah. It's about a kid and a family in which this 18-year-old kid is on the autism spectrum. And sort of, but he's a full character in the show and like goes to school and has a girlfriend and, has therapy appointment. And that sounds boring, but I think it appeals to me because there are a lot of people with on the spectrum in my life, and I think I don't hang out with socially normal people generally, so there's something fun about this show because it's really hysterical, and it kind of like deals with those things. It can laugh at itself. What were you going to say, Bill?
Oh, newsflash! You now have 83 subscribers, so your 82 audience has grown to one more person.
Wow! So, everybody, thanks.
You're growing. You're growing. Good job.
No, yeah, 83. Yep, awesome.
Darth Aster saying not too keen on it. I think he's talking about Lovecraft Country. He says it has a Lovecraftian vibe. Something throws me off. Yeah, I think Darth Aster, we were talking about the fact that you love Lovecraft, not that show. Anybody else? Oh, he also said Dexter. Oh, I think Darth Aster was also saying that thing sounded like Dexter also. Ooh. What?
I started rewatching Sons of Anarchy again.
How is it? I've seen little bits and pieces, but never watched it.
It's an awesome show. It's an awesome show.
Great. It looked like it. Yeah.
Oh. If you want drama, you got it all there.
Well, I suggest, I think that's a great suggestion. I also think you should join Latino Slant and I to watching Deadwood because it is the best show ever made, my friends. And I can back that up. That is a hard opinion of mine. I make no apologies. But second to that, there's another show that you should start watching. It's called Bill's Cats, and it happens every night. Every single night between about midnight Central. Is that right? Yeah. Until the cats come home.
Except we're on break till Monday. So.
Oh, okay, good.
We're on a break till Monday.
Break.
I need some rest.
I love it when Jedi Bill takes a break, which means that someone else takes over his show and then he's on the panel. The same thing Cat and Trek does. Someone's like, "Oh, I'll run it for you," and then he's there. It's like, what? Is this a break? I don't know.
Sure, you're not the one dealing with everything else. You're not the one who dictates what gets talked about.
True. You're right. Not Ryan Johnson, last thoughts or where to go or, whatever you're supposed to do at the end of a stream where everybody suddenly gets all boring.
Just recommend everybody else's channels. Check out Jedi Bill. Check out Captain Trek. Bird of Prey 5, always with the good stream going. Darren Wagner always popping in and keeping everybody entertained on these when he pops in. That's about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Everybody jump in, enjoy the streams, and just, have fun.
Yeah. Yes. So in other words, go Go see Our People because Our People are cool.
Yes.
And if you want to go see more of Our People, then find them on YouTube. That's the way. I do have one last thing to say here, and let's see. It is this.
There you go. You are all weirdos.
Love it, man. Puppet lives matter.
Yes, puppet lives matter. Oh,
puppet lives matter.
I love it. Have a great day, everybody. We love you. See ya on the streams.